Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Power is Now teleconference. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session, and instructions will be given at that time. If anyone requires operator assistance during today's call, please press star, then 0 on your touch-tone phone. As a reminder, today's call is being recorded. And now, your host of the Power is Now, Eric Frazier. Sir, you may begin.
Good morning and welcome to the Power is Now teleconference. The phrase, the power is now, suggests that we maximize our potential for success in business and life when we act on information and opportunities now. The present is our future because the future is only a reflection of past decisions to act now. And we are at our best and we maximize our success when we act now. That's what the Power is Now is all about, folks, acting on information now. And we try to bring you great information every single week. My name is Eric Frazier, and I'm the host of the Power is Now teleconference, and this is our 76th teleconference. Thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule to join us each and every week. We really appreciate you, and we hope that this call is adding value to your business and your life. I'm also the president of the Orange County Association of Real Estate Brokers, a chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and please go to our website at ocareb.org. That's ocareb.org. You can check out the state organization as well at careb.org and the national organization at nareb.com. Learn more about the Realtus, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Orange County's chapter is the first chapter ever in the history of the organization, and I'm very, very proud to lead that organization as president. I'm also the branch manager of Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, North Orange County Markets. Please consider using one of our team members on your next transaction. And you can contact any member of our team at our team website, which is thedoitnowteam.com, thedoitnowteam.com. We call ourselves the Do It Now team because we work with a sense of urgency. We really do, folks. We make every effort to get the job done and get it done on time. On top of all of that, having a great brand and great service and great products, we back it all up with the close on time guarantee. It is an unprecedented commitment to closing a transaction on time. You know, most banks, when they don't close on time, there's really nothing they can do. They can't even provide a letter of apology. Wells Fargo, though, when if it's our fault that we don't close on time, then we will reimburse, not just reimburse, we will write a check to the client for their first month's principal interest payment. This is really an unprecedented commitment to service, nor the bank backs up their commitment to close on time by making such an offer. And it's something, if you are a buyer's agent, you should seriously consider working with Wells Fargo as a buyer's agent because you want your clients to have that added protection. We all know what happens when a transaction doesn't close on time. There are many additional expenses that could impact the buyer. Well, the close-on-time guarantee is one way to mitigate that impact because it's a significant commitment that the bank is making. And as a branch manager, you know, it's my job to ensure that we can avoid having to pay that as many times, you know, as much as possible. And every now and then we have to pay that fee, and we're happy to do so if it is our fault and not closing the transaction on time. So please consider Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, the Do It Now team on your next transaction. If you're out of the area, go to wellsfargo.com/mortgage and get in contact with a local home mortgage consultant. The Power is Now teleconference is a series of teleconference meetings designed to empower our real estate agent partners to sell more homes, expand their business of buyers and sellers, to be well informed about changes in lending and government programs that may affect your clients and your business. If you're listening for the first time today, please go to the website at thepowerisnow.com. thepowerisnow.com and listen to some of the past recordings. I think you will be very happy to hear some great information that will help you grow your business, expand your business, which is the whole purpose of the call. If you're not on our mailing list, please email me at eric.frazier@thepowerisnow.com, eric.frazier@thepowerisnow.com, and we'll add you to the mailing list so you can receive notices of upcoming speakers. We really appreciate everyone who attends this call every week, and we especially appreciate the feedback we get on Facebook and on emails direct to me, letting me know what you think about the teleconference and also making suggestions for other speakers and topics to be discussed. So, again, please continue to listen and tell others about the teleconference. Go to thepowerisnow.com, and if you like what you see, click like. It's a Facebook website, and add your comments as well. Well, last week we had Desiree Patno on the call, and I tell you, if you missed that call, you really missed a great call with great information about what's happening for women in the government, the various set-asides that have been, declared, if you will, or are set up through the government for women, particularly broker owners. And please go to the website and listen to that interview with Desiree Patno. She did a fantastic job, and we plan to have her back again in the next few weeks here to talk more about all the benefits that women have now because of financial reform and the offices of women and minorities, a new division within the government. Desiree is a National Association of Women REO Brokerage president, and she is definitely in tune with what's going on. Next week, we have the Chief Operating Officer of Partner First. And if you are interested in participating in a top-down short sale model, then no need to look any further but to Partner First. Sung Nguyen is going to be on the call, and he's going to talk about the top-down short sale approach, and it's going to be a great call. It also will be recorded in case you can't make it, and talk about opportunities to work with Partner First, to get educated with Partner First, to receive assets also from Partner First. Well, today on the call is Henish Pulickal, and he is the Director of Operations from Infinite Asset Management. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Prior to joining Infinite Asset Management, Henish was principal of Long Pulickal Capital Group, LPCG, specialized in finding, purchasing, managing, and reselling distressed bulk real estate assets. The fund was able to complete its first purchase within 4 months and achieve profitability. Prior to LPCG, Henish was at Accredited Home Lenders for 7 years. He has achieved great success as a wholesale mortgage account executive in Chicago, overseeing the outsourcing operations in India, and in his last position as the REO manager. As the REO manager, he has re-engineered the disposition process and doubled the rate of sales to 25% of total inventory per month, or doubled the industry average. Loss severity has been kept stable while his sales were ramped up. During this time, the company's REO inventory was 1,700 homes with a mortgage balance of $450 million. The strong relationship he has formed with real estate professionals throughout the value chain will be instrumental to the success of Infinite Asset Management. Henish has been honored to be the speaker at events for real estate owners and manager associations, REO MAC, and North San Diego Real Estate Investors Association, and the Elite REO Network. He has a BA in economics and psychology from the University of Michigan. Henish, thank you for being on the teleconference today. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine.
Well, Henish, Infinite Asset Management, I love the name. It sounds like there's infinite possibilities for opportunities there. But before we get into it, I just have to ask you about your name. Henish Pulickal is a very unique name. Where is it, or what does it originate from? And, does it mean anything, Henish?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm actually South Indian from the state of Kerala. It's on the southwest side of India. It's kind of shaped like a triangle. But it's not a very common name in India. Even my Indian relatives wonder where I got my name from. Apparently the story goes that my grandfather knew a child in the neighborhood named Henish, liked the kid a lot, and suggested it as a name to my parents. And the parents had a toss-up between Henish and Rodney, as odd as that sounds, and Henish won out. So that's how I ended up with that name. But, I haven't heard of it used too much. I've heard of an island in the Middle East called Henish Island, and an author from Europe with the last name of Henish. But other than that, it's not a very common name. So, I appreciate the uniqueness. It's helped me stand out a little bit.
Well, I actually have a brother named Rodney, so that's not a bad name.
Funny.
It's great, though, to have an island named after you. That's pretty unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I understand that you are based on your bio, the principal of Long Pulickal Capital Group, and you were involved in purchasing bulk real estate assets. Now, I have to tell you that I get requests all the time from people wanting to buy from Wells Fargo in bulk. Tell us about that venture with Long Pulickal Capital Group.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wells Fargo, coincidentally, was one of our primary sources to receive these tapes for bulk pools. And, I had met a lot of people at my prior job as REO manager, and I leveraged a lot of that those contacts to start getting me access to some of these pools. So with that, we were able to attract some investors to invest with us with certain criteria. We had some limitations on what we could purchase. Now, the difficulty was that a lot of the availability of these bulk pools were aged inventory, undesirable properties, low-value properties, and in states and areas that weren't, even in the top half of what we would prefer as a good real estate to own. So for our direct investors, they had a hard time purchasing properties with an average value of $20,000. But we were able to do some consultant work for some other investors that worked with us and helped them purchase 3 transactions with another major lender, but with average asset values about $20,000 to $30,000. So the consultancy work worked out there, but we were spending a lot of time doing due diligence on bulk pools, trying to bid, checking title, making sure everything was clear, only to get beat out at the end, by a few pennies at the end, or determining at the end that the value that we wanted to pay was not in line with what the bank expected. So it was a lot of wheel spinning for not a lot of results, and it's tough when there's a lot of massive players out there that have $500 million or $1 billion to purchase huge tapes or entire note packages that include performing, non-performing, and REO properties on them. So it was hard for us to compete with some of those players. We did some consultancy work, and then I saw the opportunity with Infinite to purchase individual properties at a larger volume and have a higher execution rate with actually finding properties and closing on them.
So what would be your advice to agents out there who are working with investors with, $5 million, $10 million? In fact, I was just approached the other day at an event by an agent who says he has an investor with $20 million verified cash, and he's looking to buy bulk from Wells Fargo. What would be your advice to agents who are working with people like this, and how to handle them and getting started with bulk sales?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the agents that might know someone that has some money, it's tough unless they've got a track record of performing and closing on these bulk pools. So, I was at a conference last week, and I was a speaker, but then another one of the speakers mentioned these bulk transactions. And one of the key things that he mentioned to make credibility for these buyers was to call up to the bank and say, hey, I've got a real buyer. I can deposit $1 million in your bank account to an escrow account to prove that we actually have the money. Let me buy some of your properties, and we can execute that way. And so now that shows to the bank that you actually do have access to the money, that you actually are a real buyer, and that you actually know what you're talking about. So that's kind of one way to separate the people that actually have the cash from the people that might know someone that might have the cash, which I thought was one of the better ways to do it. Now, the other option is kind of the shotgun approach, and Wells Fargo obviously was servicing through PAS, Premier Asset Services, does offer bulk packages, and I'm on their mailing list. It's just a pretty thorough application. I'm sure someone from PAS reviews it to make sure that the buyer's credible, and then when you get on that list, you get a monthly mailing of different pools of properties that are available from Wells Fargo's inventory.
Yeah.
So that.
Go ahead.
And so, I don't know the exact process to get that. It's been a couple years since I registered with them, but there might be something on the website for Premier Asset Services or Wells Fargo that says, how to get bulk lists or be on the inventory list for your company.
Now, J.K. Huey is going to be on our teleconference again April 14th, so those of you who are listening, you might want to make a note of that. And that is going to be one of the topics that we'll bring up because we get quite a few requests from agents who are representing investors who want to buy. in bulk. Now, also, you indicate in your bio that you are an REO manager, so you seem to have a very diverse background, and that's really prepared you to do what you're doing now. You were an REO manager for accredited home lenders.
Right, absolutely. No, I did that for a couple of years. It was a great experience. It taught me a lot about reselling properties and the servicing industry in a mortgage bank. So I was able to do a lot of work there, too. The department needed a lot of work. So changed the department from a file-intensive, paper files everywhere, to a paperless to increase efficiency, and a lot of other things that I did to make people that worked with us happier in terms of paying them back quicker, and then more likely to want to sell our properties and do a good job for us.
Okay. Well, this experience has put you in at least the position to be the director of operations with Infinite Asset Management. Tell us about the company. Where are you based, and what is the makeup of ownership or leadership of the organization?
Sure, absolutely. Well, Infinite was actually the product of Christian Peter, who's San Diego's largest REO broker. He's been in real estate for several years, and over the last few years, really proven himself to be the leader in San Diego as an REO broker. So he's been working with pretty much every bank and servicer that sells REOs to list their properties and resell them in San Diego County, and has a great system and a platform where his team, is high touch and knows everything that's going on with every property. So it's and along with that experience, he's also being able to flip properties or have investor clients that wanted maybe 10% of his flow of REO properties that would make good investment sense. Other private equity funds and hedge funds noticed that and partnered with him over the last couple of years to work and purchase several hundred properties and rehab and sell them. So we've got a pretty substantial track record. Some of these funds and private equity groups are harder to work with than you'd imagine, with lots of layers of bureaucracy and approval to purchase these. And at a certain point, it was difficult for us to deal with their timelines to purchase the property. And that's when we said, let's create a new organization, identify new investors, create a brand that's identifiable in Infinite, and sell this in our track record to new people, to new investors that can work faster, that can work at our pace, and understand our goals and meet in the middle, and then also have a brand that's identifiable to real estate agents as someone that they can work with and share in our growth in ways that I'll explain coming up.
Okay, so this is really interesting. Chris, being a top broker, REO broker in San Diego, would you say then that from his success as an REO broker, he began to work with these companies that have tons of cash to buy his assets? Is that how he was able to really do so much volume and have so many connections? Because was it born, Infinite Asset Management is kind of born out of his own circumstances?
Exactly, and it came out of that. Some of the properties were his own inventory that we were purchasing, and not as much. Definitely arm's length transactions. We'd say, here's a property, let it sit on the market, and if we came in with the best offer, then we buy it for our investor and get it done. Other options were to buy at the trustee sales, which were a great source of good value properties over the last couple of years. In the last several months, especially in San Diego, the margins had shrunken considerably. So it was hard for us to make the value proposition off that with a 6 or 8 or 10 or 12% margin when we're looking for at least a 15% net, preferably 20.
Right.
So it was hard for us to purchase at the trustee sales anymore, and that's when we said we should leverage our REO contacts, our other REO brokers, and other great listing agents throughout the area to present properties through us. And that concept generated into one of our foundations for Infinite to work with these investors to source properties and manage them and fix them and sell them.
Okay, so earlier in our conversation we talked about some of Chris's success. You say he's a top REO broker in Orange County. Give us an idea what that means in terms of volume.
Yeah, in San Diego County, I believe last year he closed about 650 transactions.
Okay.
The year prior to it was about 1,200 transactions. This year the volume's increased again, so I think he's on pace to close well over 650 again. So definitively one of the top brokers in the area, and I believe one of the top 20 or maybe in the nation for a Wall Street Journal article I saw recently.
Well, he's certainly someone to know then and to network with, and I understand that we're going to try to get him on the teleconference sometime in the near future. So from his success was born Infinite Asset Management, and so for the sake of our readers to really, our listeners to understand here, Infinite Asset Management is an asset management company or an investment company, or is it kind of a hybrid of the both?
Good question. It is a hybrid of the both. We do have private investors that come to us with properties that we list.
So we left off with describing Infinite Asset Management.
So yeah, absolutely. So like I said, it's a mix of investing or asset management for some properties that we've got, but a good chunk of our business does come from properties that we're purchasing to rehab and resell and manage through that process. So it's more of an asset management in assets as terms of cash and property, and not just asset management in terms of REO assets.
Okay.
So we're working for these investors to purchase properties that make sense for us to purchase, fix, and flip, and resell and then share in the profits with them. And then we offer agents an opportunity to take part in that as well.
So let's talk about that. What does it take to be a listing agent for Infinite Asset Management? And then go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we are top producing REO brokers ourselves, we have a good network of other top producing REO brokers in the area. People that close 100, 200, 400 transactions per year because they're getting a lot of bank-owned listings. Now we know those people have a huge volume of REO that are coming in, and then also know their markets and how to properly manage properties when we're having them be our eyes and ears on the ground for us for the properties. So I'd say about 10% of anyone's REO inventory coming in is specifically investor-only properties, either because they need a lot of work or they're outdated. For whatever reason, an end user won't pick it up. And so 10% of those are cash-only deals that we need an investor to pick up. And so that's where someone like ourselves or other investors in the marketplace would come in. Now, how agents can work with us is if you find one of those deals, we want to hear about it. We want to be your investor purchaser that takes that property. And there's a lot of significant benefits for an agent to work with us versus another investor, right? For other investors, you might be able to sell them the property, but then they're going to do the rehab, they're going to do the asset management, and then they're going to resell it themselves because maybe they have their own real estate agent or their own brokerage to work with. With us, if you present a property to us, you'll get the buying commission. You'll get the experience of being able to manage the property from start to finish, and then you'll also get to resell the property when we're ready to relist it and market it. Now, that's 2 commissions minimum there. It's possible to double-end the deal and on either side. And then also, assuming you meet our metrics for returns for our investors, you can get 10% of the net profit. So that's you're getting 2 commissions and a 10% profit share, which incents a lot of agents to keep presenting the best deals to us and continue to work with us because, we're moving at a high velocity and we're trying to turn over a lot of properties quickly.
Well, that sounds almost too good to be true. I mean, if I'm an REO broker and I have, the properties that are not selling are the ones that are perhaps in bad shape, what typically happens, if it's not sold in 90 days, the asset management company may pull the transaction. So you are an outlet, really, an avenue for them to be able to sell those properties. But are you offering, 20 cents on the dollar where it's just, way below market, and their asset management company is going to say no anyway?
No, we're pretty reasonable about that. We want to be fair about that in the market. And so on our website, we have a pro forma that you can download. It's got some blue fields that you can plug in how much you're purchasing the property for, how much the rehab is going to take, and what we believe the house will resell for. So typically, we're buying properties for about 65 to 70% of after repair value. So, for example, if we buy a house for $250,000 and put $30,000 worth of work in it, and then we can resell it for $350, our net profit is going to be about $35,000 to $45,000, depending on financing costs or things like that, which is anywhere from a 15 to 20% net return. And so those are the kind of deals that we like. We don't mind putting some work into a property and making it look nice, so now we can find an end user buyer, right? We took a property that was an investor-only property and made it nice enough for a family to move into or any other end user to move into. So, really kind of helping the neighborhood out too and increasing the quality of homes in that area.
So let's talk about the process. I have a property that isn't selling. How do I go to your website, download the Excel spreadsheet, fill in the numbers, and see if it's going to meet your return based on what I think the property is going to sell for after improvements have been done. Then in turn, I send that information to you. And what's the process at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I was a real estate broker and I'm excited to work with Infinite, if I found a property that was going to be a potential good candidate, I'd take the rough estimates of numbers that I would know in my head as a professional in the area. I know I could get this. It's listed at $250. Maybe I can get it at $220. So I'll plug that number in there. Repairs might be $30,000, just based on what I know. I know it needs paint and carpet and a new kitchen, a new bath, and the pool needs some work, and maybe some flowers in the front yard. So now we know that maybe that's going to be about $30,000, and then I know what it sells for. I plug those numbers into my pro forma, and that factors in all the other costs, holding costs, taxes, insurance, and other miscellaneous utilities to determine if there's enough of a spread there to make sense for our company. So at that point, that's a quick determination, right? You're spending a few minutes on that. So at that point, we just need a little bit further evidence. Send me a BPO or a CMA to give me some market information about what houses are selling for. A BPO is also helpful because I'm looking for an after repair value. I know our house is subpar right now. I want to know after we make the improvements, what kind of similar houses are selling in the market, how much are they selling for? Basic BPO that most real estate agents should understand. And then we're also looking for tax records, preferably some pictures of the house if we don't have good pictures online, and then contractor bid for the repairs. So at that point, that's when you've got a serious candidate property. Let's spend some time putting this together with those pieces of information. Send it to my office. We'll put it together. I'll see if it's a yay or a nay. We'll get it under contract, and during that, we'll try to close within 10 days. And during that 10-day contingency, we're going to order an appraisal, and that appraisal is going to be ordered for an after repair value. So we're going to send the appraiser a list of improvements that we're going to make to the house and say, Mr. Appraiser, we're taking this house, making these improvements. How much do you think we can sell it for? And now we've got that end value. Now we've really got it locked in. Here's a strong value. Here's all the other metrics involved, and now we've got from start to finish a deal that we can figure out if it's worthwhile to pursue. And so at that point, we close, and the agent takes responsibility for the property through the repair, through all the asset management, making sure utilities are on, the grass is cut, and then at the end of the day, reselling the property for us as well.
Okay, so let's go to the due diligence process. How long does that typically take? An agent has a transaction. They think you're a candidate buyer, and so they complete the form, get it to you. How long are we talking about before you've made a decision that you want to make a formal offer? Because the agent has to receive an offer and then submit that to get approval.
Of course, yeah, and especially as we start. Once we get a better familiarity with an agent, on the first transaction, I might be a little bit more cautious and spend a little bit more time doing a thorough due diligence. But once we've got a few transactions into the belt, I might just trust you enough to know, yep, I've reviewed it quickly. I trust their values. I trust their opinions. Let's pull the trigger on it in a matter of hours. On the first deal with someone, it might take me up to a couple of days just to kind of pull some comps myself, do some research myself, and then get back to you and say, yes, let's get it under contract right now, and as soon as the contract's accepted is when we order the appraisal. And then, appraisal can come back in 3 to 5 days, and we're willing to close, 5 days after that, all cash.
So your typical closing time on the transaction then, once on a transaction in which you agreed to move forward and you've executed a contract to purchase, what is that taking? We figure 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, we can close in 10 days. The problem is a lot of times if it's a bank purchase, they need more time, right? They might need 21 or 30 or 45 days.
I see.
So a lot of times the delay is on the bank side or the seller side to get everything done. We're willing to close much faster, but that's just an incentive for the bank to work with us as well to get that asset moved quickly if they can move fast enough.
Right. Wow. So you're able to move quickly, close in 5 to 10 days or whatever the bank needs. And then this, of course, is all cash, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the transaction closes. Then we move into asset management. And the one thing that comes to mind for me here is that it's tough for new realtors to get into, the REO business right now. You got to have experience. It's difficult to get new accounts. This would be one way to gain some experience, wouldn't it be, for an agent that doesn't do a lot of REOs but maybe has a lot of listings, maybe short sale listings, what have you. So a couple of questions here. One, are you buying short sales, or are these particularly REOs that are just in bad shape? And then how does the asset management process work? Do they get set up on Equator? What systems do you use so that the agent can receive credit for what they're doing?
Sure, absolutely. No, and you got a two-part question there. So, yes, we do buy short sales as well. We've actually had some great opportunities with that. Some of the banks move a lot faster. Some of them are getting as fast as 30-day closes for a short sale, as opposed to the 6 or 9 month windows that it took in the past, and even with still some services. So, we prefer not to drag something out that long because things change in that amount of time. But short sales, yeah, we're not worried. We're not scared of closing those. We do like those. We like the REOs, and even traditional equity sales. If you've got someone that just has owned their house for 50 years, wants to sell it, and it's maybe not in the best of condition, maybe it's an investor-only purchase. So whatever the venue is, we'll purchase it, and we're still buying at the trustee sales as well. Also at the auctions that some of the bigger players put on, the REDCs and the William & Williams. And so there are different avenues that we'll purchase. Anywhere we can get a property that makes sense is the sources that we're using. Now, as for the asset management, yes, we do use Equator, which everyone knows is probably one of the premier workflow systems for property management in REO. It's really useful to have it step by step, telling you what needs to happen next in the life of this asset, and then also assigning out the roles to different people so they know what they need to do along the way, assigning title, assigning the REO agent, making sure we know who's doing escrow, and then everyone knows who the other players are by logging into their Equator screen. And then they also know their next tasks. Obviously we're getting vacant properties most of the time, but occupancy's on there, putting utilities on, ordering contractor bids, ordering additional BPOs if we need so, and then just the general maintenance, market updates when we list the property. It's a thorough system for that. And then in addition, those agents now have a presence on Equator if they don't already. And that helps improve their grade and their visibility to other lenders when they're choosing agents for asset assignments.
Right.
So that's something that's available to all other bank and servicer users of Equator. It's this database of real estate agents that are on that system.
Well, Henish, I know hundreds. I know hundreds of agents, if not thousands, who do not have any REO relationships. They've sold REOs. They've been the buyer's agent on many transactions, but they have never been the listing agent, and they want to get in. This sounds like a really great opportunity for them to get the credit and exposure they need in handling an asset for an asset management company, and something they can throw on their resume. So how difficult, though, are you making it to be a listing agent? Because you're asking, they've got to get on your list, right, in order for you to buy, or will you just buy from anyone? Is it all about the deal, or is it about the agent?
It's primarily about the deal, but we do prefer to work with agents that know what they're talking about. I don't really have the time to train someone how to do asset management or how to do a BPO. I need someone with some experience, or at least is familiar with this, or maybe that could partner with another REO agent that is experienced in their area to work on this deal, so I don't have to walk through the ABCs of asset management. So, I mean, one way, and, I mentioned that I could mention another tip for people to get into REO listings. It's tough at this point in the game because a lot of these asset management companies and servicers and the asset managers themselves have been working their areas for a long time. They might already have their favorite agents that do a great job. So it's tough to crack into that. One of the tips that I'd give is not to call these asset managers. They're already busy enough as is. Last thing they want is people calling and soliciting them for business. But with that being said, I'm not trying to shut the door on people trying to improve their business and increase their business. One of the things that I know that a lot of top REO brokers do is they network with other REO brokers in other cities, right? So we might have the area covered in San Diego, but we might want to talk to someone maybe in Texas who's working with a different company that we're not. So I can share our contacts with them. They can share their contacts with us, and we know that we're both great REO brokers, and I've just given a reference for an asset manager to work with them, and now I've got an in, right? And so that's another way to do it, is for an agent to maybe network with an agent in another city who is an REO agent, to put in a good referral for them and say, hey, please use my friend Joe in San Diego. He does a great job. He works real hard. He's prompt. Please give him a listing. And sometimes that works, and I know I've done it myself.
Sure.
And I've gotten those referrals when I was an REO manager.
Right. Well, that is a great suggestion, and it does work, and that's another reason to attend some of these conferences out of state, from Nevada to Texas and what have you. I'm sure. In fact, I think we met, I want to say it was the 5-star, or was it 5-star?
That's right, in Texas, yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us, give us some examples of some success stories of agents that you guys are working with right now that some on this call might be familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the files that we just got done was with Colleen McLean in L.A. She's one of the REO brokers up there. She presented a great property to us, and we were able to buy it, fix it up, and see if I've got it right here, and sell it pretty quickly. I mean, let me see what we did. We made about $15,000 on the deal, so it worked out nicely. Made a little bit of cash, and that's after paying out everyone. So, and financing. We purchased it for about $250, and the house ended up. We purchased it for about $170. Didn't need much work, and we ended up selling it for $250. So made a little bit of cash, and it was a quick turnaround. And then she's right here in LA. Other properties we've done in San Diego, where we've purchased it for $192, sold it for $268, ended up making almost $40,000 with a 17% return. And that was with Jason Ramsey down here in San Diego.
Now, in both of these examples, the agent got commission on selling it to you, and then they were also paid for being your listing agent on it.
Right. So they got the buying commission for purchasing the property from us.
Right.
They got to manage the property from start to finish, with which they're familiar with since they're our top REO brokers.
Right.
And then they were also able to list it for us and get the commission on the back end. Now, in some cases, assuming they do a very good job of making us at least a 15% net return in 90 days from start to finish, they get the bonus of an extra 10% profit share of our net profit, which is a nice little kicker that says, thanks for finding us a great property and doing a great job reselling the property quickly for us. Here's a bonus in addition to the commissions. So it really incents agents to continue working with us, presenting the best properties to us, because they know that we're taking care of them financially.
Wow, that really sounds like a great strategy for an REO broker that has quite a few accounts, has a number of listings, and they're aging. So this is one way, if you're an REO broker, to improve your days on market, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not trying to take any property just to help a broker out. We need to make sense too, right? So if the property and the numbers make sense, and the bank is willing to accept the price because it is starting to age on the market, now we have a deal. But otherwise we're not doing it purely for the altruistic benefit of helping a broker out, but we need to make sense for both parties.
Wow, that sounds great. Operator, let's give instructions for questions, and then Henish will explore the last bullet here, why investors love working with you. And I'd like to learn more about how you guys, the volume of business you're doing and that kind of thing. So go ahead, Operator.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Right,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question at this time, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If your question has been answered or you wish to leave the queue for any reason, please press the pound key. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question at this time, please press star then 1 now.
Okay, Henish, so talk about the volume you guys are doing in terms of purchases every month and, what your capabilities are.
Yeah, so, we could probably purchase up to about $10 million a month. Right now we're averaging about $2 million that we're spending. So it's just the availability of the best deals in the season. Sometimes there's months with lower volume. I know that volumes are just starting to pick back up in the last month for REOs. So as those volumes increase and as the opportunities increase, we'll be looking at properties. But along with that, I also have to factor in depreciation in these areas. If there's a huge uptick in REO listings in a certain area or assignments that are coming to us, then I know that values might be decreasing by 1% a month or something along that level. So we're starting still at the maybe $2 to $10 million a month per month right now, but we can definitely ramp it up from there. Our investors definitely have huge pockets. We're just trying to keep the process organic, make sure the timelines are quick. I don't want our service and our execution levels to suffer because of huge volume. So we'll take it at the level we can, and that's why we're starting just in the Southwest, California, Arizona, Nevada right now, and then expanding from there as we continue to grow this business since it's a relatively successful model.
So where is the greatest opportunity for you? Because I was going to ask you if you purchase properties out of state, and it looks like you are at least bordering California.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in these other markets that aren't in Southern California, they get less attention from investors. Mm-hmm. There's more opportunity for people that are smart investors to purchase in those areas. It's not as attractive of investments in Las Vegas and in Phoenix and areas like that because you're buying $80,000 or $100,000 or $120,000 houses versus the $200,000, $300,000 houses that you're buying in Southern California. Mm-hmm. It's more appealing for most investors to buy a bigger property where there's a bigger profit margin, or not necessarily margin, but profit in terms of cash, right? It always is more appealing to make $40,000 in a deal instead of $10,000.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where the deal size comes in. So it's probably a bigger percentage spread in some of these lower value areas, mm-hmm. But the cash that you'd make on the transactions is larger in the Southern California and all along the coast in California because we're buying all the way up through San Fran and the Bay Area.
Well, cash is king, and I would think, too, that properties in the $1 million, $2 million, $3 million price range are sitting for a very long time in the market. Are you guys pursuing big deals like that as well?
Yeah, good question. I mean, typically we're trying to look at the size of deals to be in the sweet spot of the market. Typically not much more than 500. In some of these Orange County areas, it's not uncommon to have $600,000 or $700,000 houses. And we're looking for properties that sell quickly. A lot of times these $1 million, $2 million properties need specialty buyers, whereas there might only be 3 to 5 or 10 buyers for a property like that. We know that we have 20 to 30 buyers for our $300,000 3-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house.
Right.
So we like houses that have the opportunity to sell quicker because they've got a bigger group of buyers available.
Sure, absolutely. Operator, do we have any questions?
We have a question online from Teresa.
Okay.
Oh. Hi, gentlemen. Hi, Eric. Hi, Henish. This is Teresa Johnson from Carlsbad, California. And I currently work here with the Lund team. And Henish, just to be clear, 10% of your business that you do is the cash-only purchase investments? Is that?
No, I mean, a majority of our business is the cash-only.
Oh, okay. So then you would say the lesser of that would be just strictly REO asset management for listing agents.
Correct, yes. So, I mean, the rest of it is just, for private investors that are placing properties with us. Maybe they've purchased them through bulk sales or note sales, and they've got a few properties here and there that they need to sell.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So on those properties, Henish, you are assigning those to agents, or you guys are selling those yourself? Do you have an agent network? Let me just get to the bottom line of that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we definitely give preference to agents that we've worked with in the past, especially in those areas. Right. So, I mean, especially brokers that are giving us deals that we know that they know how to do it. And like I said, it's just that learning curve that I don't want to have to go through, right? And every bank and every servicer has their own quirks about how they do things. Some always want repair bids, some never do. Some do their property preservation with a third party, some want the agent to do it. So there's a little bit of learning curve. And so to mitigate that, I prefer to use agents that I've worked with prior or have submitted deals to us or transacted deals with us to get those listings too, just because I know I don't have to teach them anything. They know what our process is.
Right. Operator, next question.
I'm showing no further questions on the phone at this time. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone.
So talk about why investors love working with you. This is it seems like it's a pretty organized approach to buying assets and managing assets and getting the return.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with there's a couple ways to do these kind of things, and one is the standard PPM, private placement memorandum, generating funds, selling shares, and having a fundraising period. Now, I know a lot of people that have done that, and I've done it myself in the past. And it's tedious, it's legal, it's cumbersome, and it doesn't allow the level of transparency that a lot of real estate investors, even the passive ones, want to have. Right? A lot of people that are real estate investors and putting in $5 million or $10 million into a fund, a lot of times want to know what's going on at a granular level.
Right.
So we saw that need and said, let's avoid the PPM, let's avoid selling shares, let's avoid this fundraising, and let's just do a simple management agreement. And the management agreement basically says, investor, if we make you an X percentage return over annualized, you pay us 3 points at the back end, or whatever it may be. And so these terms are flexible, but for the most part, it's if we make at least a 20% annualized return on a sale, which is a great return on investment for anyone concerned, and our records show probably closer to 60% annualized on average with these properties.
Wow.
So we're saying just in the minimum, 20%. And if we can do that for you, then we get paid 3 points in the back end. And so we don't get paid anything until the investor gets money. So, it really aligns our interests as an asset manager with the investors as to make money. So if the investor makes less than 20, we just basically did this job for free.
Right.
There's been no cases where we've lost any money on a deal. So fortunately, we've got that going for us as well, where, we've never had to go back to an investor and say, sorry, we screwed this one up. We've never had to do that. So it gives us strong incentive to say, we're so confident in our results that we'll only pay ourselves after we pay you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think as an investor, you want your partner to have some skin in the game, right? So
exactly.
I think that's a great a selling point. In fact, so for those agents out there that have investors that are wanting to, calling Wells Fargo and other banks wanting to buy bulk, that's a risky proposition, isn't it? Your method here might be a better option for them.
That's what we believe. We've tried to do bulk several times. Christian's tried to do it on his own with his other investors, and unless you're one of the massive players, it's hard to buy a $1 million or $5 million tape. And then it's also hard to find the properties that you're looking for. You might be getting low-value properties in the Midwest or in the South or in other places where it's undesirable or other less desirable to purchase because you've got an asset value of $20,000 or less. Another issue that we found with these bulk pools is that if I look at 10 deals, do due diligence on each one, it might take me 10, 20, 40 hours, depending on the size of the tape, spend some money ordering BPOs, and now I'm out thousands of dollars. I might not be able to buy any of those, because there's so much competition to buy those tapes. The bank is trying to get the most value, or there might be, after due diligence, I might determine that this isn't a worthwhile pool to pursue.
Right.
I've wasted hours and cash trying to do some analysis on these bulk tapes. Now, with these individual properties, I might only be competing with 0 other people or maybe 2 or 3 other investors at most. My due diligence is thorough. I know exactly all the costs associated with it, within a few percent, and it's not a shotgun approach, right? I know I'm looking at an individual house. I know my starting figures. I know my ending figures, and I know everything in between, and a relative certainty to how much I'm going to make and how long it's going to take me. With the bulk, you never really know what you're going to get. You might get a property. There might be people still in it. They might be vacant. You might have all kinds of uncovered repairs that you have to do that you might not have had the chance to do the full due diligence on, or it wasn't worth the time to spend 1, 2, 3 hours on each individual asset to determine if you should take down the entire pool.
In addition to maybe getting a full appraisal or BPO to determine any additional risk of that property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of wheel spinning, and hopefully you'd get traction to purchase one. But I've seen from most people's experience and from mine that it's hard to finally execute or come to a middle ground on what's a fair price to pay for these with the seller.
Well, Henish, if people want to get a hold of you to maybe come out, do you actually go out to real estate offices? Because that's your audience, really, right? You're looking for REO brokers who have shops that are successful, and you want to partner with them to help move some inventory that they have, if it makes sense for your investors.
Yeah, absolutely. On our website is definite contact information that goes to my assistant. She screens it and gets me anything that's relevant. But I've definitely spoken at brokerages of groups of people of 20 to 50 or more to just let them be aware of our opportunity. A lot of agents are working with investors. The ones that aren't, maybe their deals aren't maybe there's investors that only have limited capital, or the spread that they're giving them isn't as strong. We'd like that opportunity to say, let us be your investor purchaser, because we've got all these good things going for us, right? We've got a good system. We pay you on the front end. We pay you on the back end. You can even get a profit share. So there's a lot of benefits to working with us. Plus, we're streamlined. We're reasonable. We're quick to respond. And other investors may not have those same attributes, or may not be able to move as quickly, or may not have as sweet of a deal as we're offering.
Well, it sounds great. I'm looking forward to meeting and speaking to Chris. We definitely want to have him on the call. He is the ultimate, brainchild of this company, born out of his own activities in buying and selling property. Operator, do we have any questions for Henish?
I'm showing no questions on the phones.
Okay. So, Henish, this has been a very informative call. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us about the opportunities with Infinite Asset Management. Folks, if you're receiving the flyer, all his information is there, including the website. And I highly recommend you go into the website. The Proforma is fantastic. It's an Excel-based spreadsheet. And whether you are trying to calculate, see if it makes sense for Infinite Asset or for yourself, it's a great tool to use to determine how profitable a transaction can be. So, in addition to the website, is information on how to become a listing agent and what their goals are on every single transaction. So, Henish, do you have any final words or comments or suggestions for our agents in working with you as we come to the close of another Powers Now teleconference?
No, I appreciate the time to talk to you. I'm glad I get to share a little bit about what we're doing. I'm very excited about the company and the opportunities that it has for agents to work with us. I think it's a really strong opportunity for agents that have seen these properties and say, I wish I could sell this to someone. I wish I had a rich uncle that had some money that we could flip this property with. Let us be that person. Let us be that person. Present the property to us. We'll make sure that you get taken care of. We continue to use you on future deals as long as you keep them coming to us nicely. And then, along with that, the sales aspect of it. A lot of times, if you're working with me for the first time, have that conversation with me. Find out what my needs and wants are for the property along the different steps. You know what my basic requirements are. And then just make sure that you go that one step further to exceed my expectations. And that's just the basis of good sales. So, hopefully everyone uses principles like that in their day-to-day business. But just something that I had to put out there because I know that when I've mentioned that before, people are like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea to talk to your customer to find out what their needs are.
Right.
So that you're at least meeting them.
Sure. Well, folks, you heard it here. Make Henish Uncle Henish part of the family, and take advantage of some great offers out there. And as a broker, get paid on selling it to Infinite Asset, and then selling it again to the next buyer, and achieving the profit objectives and getting a bonus. It sounds like a really fantastic deal. So, again, Henish, we thank you for being on the Powers Now today, and we're looking forward to just hearing some success stories of people that reach out to you from the Powers Now audience and start doing business. Well, folks, that's the wrap of another Powers Now teleconference. Just a couple of announcements here. On March 11th, the Orange County Association of Real Estate Brokers is having a special event. We will have the director of REOs out of San Bernardino, Jesse Toronto there with Wells Fargo, and Paul Mousseau, VP of REO from LPS. And so if you're interested in asset management, that's definitely an event you want to attend. It is for members only, actually. It is for members only, but apparently when we initially set it up on the website, we made it available to guests. And so we would encourage you to become a member of the organization so you can attend these events for free. Membership is very reasonable to the Orange County Association of Real Estate Brokers, and we've got just a whole lot more planned this year, great events, small venues where you can actually, have a real conversation about, what you have to offer as a REO agent. So please come March the 11th from 11 to 1:30 p.m. It's going to be at National University, and that's at 3390 Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa, 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Go to the website and register. You must register for the event. It's ocareb.org. I want to encourage you to be back on the phone next week and hear from Sung Nguyen, Chief Operating Officer of Partner First. Learn about the top-down short sale approach. It is not a myth. It is the real deal. People are getting assets, are getting short sale listings from Partner First. Hear all about it. Be on the call next week at the same time. Again, we are at our best and we maximize our success when we act now. What have you learned today that you can act on today? Thank you for being on the call. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation in today's conference. This concludes the program, and you may now disconnect. Everyone have a great day.